Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I showed you the step-by-step how to change the oil and the oil filter on your Honda CRF300 Rally. Let's get started. Now, before we jump into it and you commit to doing this job, I have a few hints for you. Before you start, of course, you need to have the proper oil. That's going to be 10W30 for the motorcycle that I have here. You also need the filter, but very important, maybe not so obvious, is that you should have two gaskets. This gasket here is going to be for the oil filter cover. When you open the cover, now personally I'm able to reuse, and whenever I can reuse, I reuse the gasket, but there is a chance that when you tighten everything, some oil might come out if you're using the old gasket. So you should have in hands a new set of, or a new setup, only one gasket spare in case you need. And the bolt for draining the oil, when you unscrew it, there is going to be a crush washer. I'm also going to leave the dimensions in here. These crush washers are not original. You can buy original, but then they're going to cost you some $5. But you can buy a bag of 50 for about the same price. And since this is a crush washer, it needs to be either of aluminum or copper. These are the only comments that I have before you commit to this job. So now we can get started with changing the oil. First thing we want to do, we are going to turn on the motorcycle and just let it idle for about 4 to 5 minutes to heat up the oil. When the oil is warmer, then it's going to drain easier out of your motorcycle. Now we are ready to drain the oil. Some guys, they like to remove the plastic bash plate in here. There's no need to really do that. What I recommend you to do is to add some spacers underneath of the side stand so the motorcycle is as upright as possible, of course without tipping over to the opposite side. So keep it straight, and then we can break loose the nut and the oil is going to drain without making a mess. So go ahead and place a container underneath to catch the oil and remove this cap. This just helps to drain faster. Now, using a 12mm socket, we are going to undo the screw or the bolt that is on this side here. Now, I recommend you to also go and just tilt the motorcycle to the left, as this is going to help to drain the oil. So you see, as I do this, by the way, all of the tools that you see me using here, they are available at royamoto.com. We have a toolkit specifically designed for the CRF300 Rally. So if you're looking for a set of tools and a nice bag specifically designed to cover motorcyclist needs, then take a look at royamoto.com/toolkits. Now, back to the video. While the oil is still draining, you can go and start removing the cover for the oil filter, and you need an 8mm socket. Now there's a spring in here, so don't lose this spring. And here's the oil filter, so let's remove it. And here's also the gasket. Now, using a paper towel, I'm going to clean where the oil filter goes, just to get all of the old oil out. When you're doing this, if you're using a paper towel, it's not a problem to use a paper towel. Just don't leave any remains of paper in case it happens. You just make sure to get all the paper out. That's it. Now, looking at the bolt for draining the oil, you're going to get the old crush washer out. I recommend you to change this one. So here I have a new one. And we are going to clean the oil from the thread of this bolt, because that's going to make sure that when you are applying the torque, there's no oil here. So we're going to exceed the proper torque. So just make sure that you clean it. If you have a brake cleaner, you can also use a brake cleaner to get all of the oil out of the bolt thread. That's the important thing. Now I'm putting a new crush washer, and I'm also going to clean the thread, remove the oil from the thread, which is there on the crankcase of the engine. So just go with the paper and clean the thread on the inside. I'm going to put the bolt back on, and you want to torque this, if you have a torque wrench, to 24 Newton meter. So I start by hand, and that's to make sure that I'm threading everything correctly. Once I get to the end, now I'm getting my torque wrench. Now I just got the new filter, and what I have done, I like to dip the new filter on fresh oil. So I just took here the fresh oil and I put it inside. The idea is quite simple. I want to get oil inside of the filter from the beginning. So when I install, it's already filled with oil instead of having air on the filter. I'm probably being very picky in here, but that's how I have been doing for 15 years and that's how I like to do it. Now for your gasket cover, just pay attention here that there is a correct position. You don't want to install like this because you see it's misaligned in here. So when I flip it, you see that now it aligns perfectly with the cover. My oil filter ready to go. The covers here on the side. I also have the gasket, the spring, and the 4 bolts that I use to fixate the cover. Now, these screws, you also want to have the thread clean of oil, so make sure that you clean. Now we are going to put the oil filter in its place. Now, it's going to get a bit dirty. Of course, you can use gloves if you prefer. So put it here. You will know that you have everything right when the spring puts the cover under tension like this. So you should be able to feel the spring so it's pressing against the filter. So now I get the bolt. And start by hand, don't go with a torque wrench. You really want to feel that the screw is going in correctly onto the threads. Now we're going to start to tighten these screws and we're going to do a crisscross pattern in here. So I start at the bottom, then I move to the top, and then on the left side, right side, and I'm doing everything in steps. Just take your time. You could rush it, probably no big consequence if you don't do it like this, but that's the proper way, so why not, since it's your motorcycle. Now here's something very important for you to consider. The correct torque for these bolts is only 9 Newton meter. Now there are countless cases that you can see there on Facebook groups of people that break these bolts. So if you have a torque wrench, you can go for 9 Newton meter, but there are some people that claim that even by using 9 Newton meter, these bolts have broken off. So you can also do it by hand. This is hand tight. 9 Newton meter is about 1 kilo, so it's not a lot. Just go hand tight. And always on a crisscross pattern. So now we're going to top it off with new oil. You will need about 1.8 liters, but in any case, what you can do, here on this side you have an inspection visor, and there's a lower marking and a maximum marking, so you want to fill it up and check that once the motorcycle is upright, it's sitting about in the middle. Now put the cap back on. When you look at the inspection glass for the oil level, this is what you want to have. The oil level right in the middle between the lower and the upper markings. Before turning on the motorcycle, what I like to do now is just to hit the side stand a few times on the ground, just to get the impact, and if there is any air trapped inside the oil, the idea is that this impact helps the bubbles to go up. Now we're going to turn on the motorcycle, but just for 10 seconds. Okay, after you run your motorcycle for 10 seconds, very likely the oil level is going to go down, so that's why you want to double check. Let me put the motorcycle upright again. So mine went down just by a little bit, but if yours goes lower, then of course you have to top it off again to the correct level. This time I'm going to turn the motorcycle once again, but let it run for about 5 minutes. And what I'm watching for, if there is any leakage. So there should be no leakage at all. Turn it on, let it run for 5 minutes and inspect everything. And there you have it. That is the step-by-step how to change the oil and filter on your Honda CRF 300 Rally. Hope you enjoyed the video and got some value out of it. And I see you on the next one. Bye-bye.